It comes after claims in America that Russian intelligence agencies have obtained personally compromising material about his business interests and his private life. Mr. Trump has strenuously denied the allegations, tweeting that the intelligence agencies should never have allowed what he called fake news to leak. In his tweet a few minutes ago, he called it one last shot at him and said, "Are we living in Nazi Germany?" Mr. Trump is due to hold a news conference this afternoon, his first since his election last November. Our correspondent Johnny Diamond reports.
In 9 days' time, he will be president. But never has a president-elect been so ensnared in controversy. The allegations that swirl around him and his aides are unverified. Explosive allegations, all denied by the man himself, of unusual sexual practices and financial impropriety. Leaked to a website. The suggestion that Russian President Vladimir Putin had material which could compromise America's new president. From Mr. Trump, a flat, loud denial.
Many people accept that Donald Trump is the president-elect, but recognize that there are issues, that there are problems, particularly with Russia, that need to be addressed. And so I think that is something that lawmakers are looking, and I think and the intelligence community would like to see Donald Trump take a more proactive approach to addressing.
Moscow's reach into the Trump campaign and the president-elect's success has been a focus of claim and counterclaim for months. The latest allegations were reportedly compiled by a former British intelligence official who was once based in the Russian capital. He is described as a credible source. Donald Trump has an extensive network of links to Russia. This beauty pageant 3 years ago, just one. He has gone out of his way to praise the Russian president. His campaign team stands accused of improper relationships with the Russian government. Gathered by political opponents to discredit Mr. Trump, the report claims that the Russian government obtained material with which to blackmail the new president. With bugged hotel rooms and clandestine meetings, the report reads like a spy thriller. One Trump associate, a lawyer, shot down an allegation almost immediately. Russia scoffed.
Fabrication of such spoof stories is an obvious attempt to damage our bilateral relations.
Washington waits for a new commander-in-chief, a man who promises to overturn the old order. A man confronted by his own spy chiefs with the most lurid of allegations. Never before has the office of a new president been under such scrutiny. Johnny Diamond, BBC News.
Well, our correspondent Paul Wood is in Washington and early morning there in America. But already Mr. Trump has taken to Twitter, clearly furious about these claims.
It's not the first time that he's attacked the CIA. But yes, we haven't seen language like this from him for quite some time. Let's start with what we know. It was definitely originally compiled by a former British intelligence agent, this report, a former MI6 man, and he did it for what's known as an opposition research company here in Washington, D.C. It's a company I know quite well and have visited often. They were working, first of all, for Jeb Bush's Super PAC, as it's called, in the Republican primaries, and then for an anonymous Democratic Party donor. The allegations themselves are extremely lurid, and out of fairness to Mr. Trump and anybody under the age of 18 watching, I don't think we should relate them. But here's the crucial point. I was able to send a message into the CIA at the beginning of November to ask them about these allegations. It was illegal for any official to talk to me about them, but I got a message back through an intermediary which said the allegations were regarded as credible. And more than that, there was more than a single source for them, not just this MI6 man. There was supposedly more than one tape, not just video but audio, more than one date, and not just in Moscow but in St. Petersburg as well. Now, obviously, if the Russians have blackmail material on Mr. Trump, they're hardly going to release it. So these are necessarily allegations, but they are allegations that are regarded as credible. That's not the same as saying accurate, but they are regarded as credible by the US intelligence community.
Paul Wood in Washington, thank you. The Prime Minister, Theresa May, has called the Red Cross irresponsible and overblown for talking about a humanitarian crisis in the NHS and social care. At Prime Minister's questions, the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said the NHS was in crisis, but the Prime Minister was in denial. Our political correspondent Ian Watson reports.
Some medical professionals are issuing critical warnings of the worst ever winter crisis in the NHS. And now Labour want to turn this into a political crisis by piling pressure on the government.
Is there a crisis in the NHS?
He doesn't use the C word. Jeremy Hunt wouldn't talk of a crisis, but he has suggested that patients shouldn't make their way to A&E departments unless their case is urgent. And today, Jeremy Corbyn attacked the Prime Minister, accusing her of